Well, thank you so much, everyone, for making the time to be here with us today. Uh, Today, we're going to talk about decoding finance degrees, and it's going to be a guide to lucrative careers. Uh, just so you know, this webinar is being hosted by people from that are currently in different locations around the world, and so because of that, you might experience background noises. You might see a cat walking through the screen. You might hear children in the background. School buses picking up children. So just be aware of that. It's the life that we live in today. If you have any concerns with technology, we have enabled chat uh, function. So please let us know via the chat if there are any concerns with technology. We have also enabled the Q&A function so that if you have any questions about the presentation, the content that's being delivered, feel free to put that into the Q&A. At the end of the presentation is when we'll address the Q&A, but throughout the presentation, don't hesitate to add your question so that you don't forget what your question was. So my name is Marco Chavez, and I'm the Director of Global Admissions Operations with Shoreline Education. And today we're going to answer a few questions like, what in the world is finance in the first place? What is it like to study finance in the USA? What types of classes do students take? And what skills do students need to be successful in the world of finance? And we'll also touch on some possible careers for finance graduates. We're going to take a look at 3 students who studied finance in their career paths and where that took them. We'll also be joined by staff from the University of South Carolina and Adelphi University, and they'll talk to you in a little bit specifically about finance programs on their campuses. Again, welcome everyone. So the first question we'll address is, what is finance exactly? Well, finance is using data to inform financial decisions, right? So, for example, if a company wants to grow, the examples I give on here are if they want to buy a competitor and utilize its resources or build their own product version themselves, a financial analyst will be able to analyze that situation and inform the company in which direction might be the most beneficial and most lucrative in that regards. So finance majors, they use data, they use complex software to inform those decisions, analysis, they solve problems, and they definitely have strong communication skills so that they can communicate their findings to the company or to the entity that needs guidance on where to put their resources, their monetary resources. So another example might be when executive compensation is being discussed, a financial analyst will guide the company on the strategy on which compensation might be best to attract the best executives, the most qualified executives. Now, I do want to say that finance is not accounting. A lot of people confuse the two, but accounting is measuring and recording business transactions. So kind of like doing the taxes, making sure that all the expenses are being tracked, reconciling the books, so to speak. And so that's what accounting would be. Whereas finance is taking that information that the accountant is putting together and putting into the bigger picture and using data to inform a plan for the company. So that's the biggest difference between those two programs. And I know a lot of people tend to confuse them, but they are not the same. Again, finance, larger picture, informed strategy for the company, whereas accounting, keeping track of day-to-day expenses and ins and outs of those monetary resources for a company. And so the great thing about finance is that it is versatile and can be applied anywhere in the world. So as we know, we have people here from all over the world today. We have companies based all over the world. We have local companies and transnational companies. We have government entities, NGOs, non-governmental organizations. And so all these types of entities need financial analysts to guide their decisions, to make sure that they have the highest return on their investment. So that's the great thing about studying finance, is that the students have a large array of career opportunities anywhere, everywhere in the world. So you can see on here, I've included some data that finance majors make approximately 62,000 US dollars after graduation, which is 5% higher than average graduate salary. And they're among the top majors with the highest return on investment. And so finance majors are in high demand. They're valued all over the world. They're in demand all over the world. So a great opportunity for students to study. Now, studying finance in the United States means that students are going to have a liberal arts foundation to their education. So what that means is that no matter, regardless of which university students choose to study finance at in the US, they're going to have a liberal arts foundation, which means that they're going to be taking classes from other subject areas. And these other subject areas will only make them more marketable afterwards, because they'll not only be experts in finance, but they'll also have background in languages, background in physical sciences, and in other areas that after graduation will make them more marketable. Now, the great thing about education in the United States is that students can double major or add minors as well to their degrees. And so what that means is that in addition to having that strong finance degree, they're also going to be able to have expertise in another area. Since finance is a business degree, a lot of students do take add on a major or a minor in an area that they want to emphasize on their resume. So for example, a student might have a finance major, and they might also have an international studies double major or international studies minor, or they might have a French major or a double major or French minor. And so what they do that in order to be more marketable in that area. So with my example of the French minor, a student might be aiming to work for a French company, and they want to make themselves stand out to that company when it's time to apply for jobs. Or they might study, in my example of international relations, they might want to work for a transnational company that's located all over the world. And so again, they want to make themselves marketable. Now, another great thing of U.S. education is that students have a lot of co-curricular opportunities, and they have an opportunity for practical experience, study abroad. Yes, they'll be studying abroad in the U.S., but they can still take that even one step farther and study abroad somewhere else, different from their country of origin. And speaking of co-curricular opportunities, the reasons why students should study finance in the United States, again, real world experience. So I'm giving some examples on the screen of real world experience that students can gain from our partner institutions here in the US. But students will have the benefit of doing internships, of having that practical experience, so that after graduation, they are even that much more marketable. For some universities, the internship will be built into the curriculum. For other universities, it won't, but it will still be available to our students. They're going to have the benefit of studying at top-notch universities with top-notch facilities as well. So the facilities, the physical buildings and resources on campus will be first rate, so that students can learn at their best. And also, students can tap into a global network. Universities in the US tend to nurture alumni, the graduates who came before the current students. And through that nurturing of those alumni who are located all over the world, millions and millions of alumni, students come into a network where they can be supported after graduation without even needing to know that alumni beforehand. So, for example, a student who studied at Adelphi 20 years ago from Indonesia is now back in Indonesia with their company or at a company. Because they're being nurtured by Adelphi, they'll be able to support a current graduate of Adelphi that is returning to Indonesia and helping them network with other professionals and helping them find a more perfect fit for a company. So that, again, is another great benefit of U.S. institutions and our partners. Now, what type of student thrives in a finance degree? So again, finance degrees, finance analysts are guiding companies or guiding entities at making smart monetary decisions. So definitely a student who pays attention to detail is a great fit for a finance major. Finance, as I mentioned, is a business degree. So students who are adept at business, who are very proficient in the business world, in the business realm, who are forward thinking. Financial analysts are thinking ahead. They're not thinking in the now because they're helping companies or entities make decisions for the future. So they need to be able to think for the future and guide entities in that as well. And finance does take a lot of mathematical analysis. So finance degrees, finance majors do need to be proficient at mathematical principles as well. So these four traits make a great finance major. So if you know of students who fit these four traits, they definitely thrive in the finance world. Now, before I turn it over to my colleagues, I want to highlight 3 students who studied finance at our partner institution. So the first one is Adit, who studied at the University of Illinois in Chicago. And so earlier I mentioned internships and practical experiences, one of the benefits that our partners can offer. So Adit secured internships during his tenure at University of Illinois Chicago with Ernst & Young. And so he was able to use that afterwards to kind of build his network to secure his job. Marvelyn studied finance at Auburn University. And so during her time at Auburn, she worked on campus for the College of Business. And then she used that experience to secure a role at a consulting company in Atlanta. And then Asta studied finance at the University of Utah. And then she also gained practical experience and was able to use that to secure a post at Goldman Sachs, one of the world's leading investment banks. So I wanted to highlight these 3 students because I wanted to show that, again, practical experience that our partners offer lead to student success. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Will, who's going to go more in depth about Adelphi's finance program.
Thank you very much, Marco. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that everybody can learn a little bit more about our offering at Adelphi for finance. So give me just one moment. Okay, great. So Marco, can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. So I'm going to hop in here and talk a little bit about why you should study finance at Adelphi more than anywhere else. And just give a little bit of background about myself. My name is William Shaper, and I'm the Student Services Director at Adelphi International, which is at Adelphi University in Garden City. I'm calling in from rainy Brooklyn right now. It is typical of this sort of weather in New York this time of year, but we're hoping for a little bit more sunshine, as you can see during the spring in this image here, which is of our beautiful campus at Adelphi University in Garden City. The cherry blossoms will be out soon, sun will be out, and moods will be very, very happy at that time. So let's dive in a little bit. So these are Adelphi's finance offerings. We have an undergraduate degree, Bachelor of Science, 121 credits overall, possible to complete in 3 years. We always want to add the caveat that that's not a guarantee because it depends on the amount of credits that you take per year, also taking classes over the summer. But it is possible to complete this degree in about 3 years if you were to really, really pack your credits in. And of course, the end goal of all of this is getting some sort of degree, which leads to a career in finance. And there are lots of applications because, as we'll talk about in just a moment, we're located next to New York City, which is basically the finance capital of the world. Some career applications include fintech, investment banking, and wealth management. Speaking of career opportunities in New York is the capital of global finance. As I mentioned before, it's about 45 minutes from Adelphi University's campus by train. So you would catch the train at either Mineola or a Garden City station and be in the heart of Manhattan, which is where all the financial companies are in New York. There are 448 traditional financial services companies. You may recognize a few of these names here. You got Chase and JP Morgan, MasterCard, American Express, and then also 600 companies in the rapidly growing fintech sector. So you have the names of Venmo and Stash here, which you may recognize. Venmo, of course, being the financial transaction company where you can share money with your friends very easily, and Stash being a very creative investing app that kind of introduces people to investing. And you also have SoFi, which is a strictly online bank. A few figures for you about the benefits of being a finance student at Adelphi University. 100% of Adelphi finance students have access to job shadowing, mentoring, and internship opportunities through our business school. That's the Willemstad School of Business. I believe that finance is under that umbrella as well. And they do a very, very good job of cultivating a very curated student experience to help them achieve their goals. 95% of graduates are employed or continuing their education within 6 months of graduation. So I know that future forward, while we're all looking at CPT and OPT as our overall goal going forward. So those are some pretty strong numbers to look at in terms of graduates that are employed once they graduate from Adelphi with a finance degree. 95% of internships that are secured by Adelphi students are also paid, which is also something very, very huge. Whereas Adelphi students have secured internships in the past, so you also have the likes of Geico, Merrill Lynch, a Bank of America company, Morgan Stanley, Northwestern Mutual. So when you're thinking about alumni that could potentially help you secure these jobs in the future and these connections that Adelphi offers, these are some of the places that you'll recognize where people have gone on to secure internships. Here's something that we like to highlight because it's unique to our campus. Students that are studying finance at Adelphi University have access to Adelphi's trading room, which is equipped with the same Bloomberg terminals used by Wall Street financial professionals. And certain Adelphi students in very specific courses are actually able to get some real world practice in managing Adelphi University's wealth fund. Adelphi University actually has a fund that is managed by financial professionals, and they usually give financial students the opportunity to make investments in that fund as a way to practice. So you really do get some real world experience while you're taking some of your courses. Other benefits for Adelphi finance students, a small student to faculty ratio. So that's 11-to-1. Here we're talking about the very curated, cultivated, close student professor relationship for building those relationships. Adelphi is also a business college of distinction, AACSB accredited. Princeton Review rates us as one of the best regional colleges in the Northeast. And in terms of career development, as we were talking about before, we are a college of distinction for both 2023 and 2024. So thank you for tuning in. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to Larissa.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. I'm Larissa Patrician. I'm the Managing Director at the International Accelerator Program at the University of South Carolina. I'm going to share my screen. see how beautiful our campus is. I know William was just sharing that it's raining there. It's raining here buckets as well, but we're already at 30 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is a picture of our stadium. As you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about, in general, about the University of South Carolina, and then about the School of Business. So at the University of South Carolina, we are Division I. So there's lots of sports teams and a lot of action on campus. We are the flagship university at the state capitol. So we're located right in Columbia, right with the state capitol. We have more than 35,000 students on campus, and we're a major R1 research institution, which is really important when you're studying, because that's going to give you experience as well with our faculty and being able to do research so that you can also add that to your CV or to your resume. We have 95 bachelor's degrees. We have 129 master's programs and certificate programs, 62 doctoral degrees as well. We have 60 nationally ranked programs, and some of our bragging points here is that we have the #1 first-year student experience. So for those students coming in as undergraduates, this is what we do the best to make sure that students are acclimated to campus, that they're having all of those experiences in the first year so that they're connected to campus, that they're getting those research opportunities, that they're actually having that full, well-rounded experience that first year. And I know Marco said that too, that students in the United States have this core curriculum. So not only are you taking your business classes, but you're also taking all of the liberal arts and other classes to add to your major. And this also makes you more marketable. We have the #1 undergraduate international business program and also the #1 international MBA. We're top 5 in sports science. So now let's talk a little bit more about the Darla Moore School of Business. I've already said this, but this is #1 bragging point for the University of South Carolina is that we have the #1 undergraduate international business program in all of the United States, and this is 25 years in a row. We also have the #3 supply chain program and the #4 risk management and insurance program in our School of Business. Just so you can see also in the business program, all the different majors that you can have. So it could be finance, could be advertising, marketing, retail management, so that you can also minor in some of these while you're doing your finance program. Another advantage is that you can also double major, as Marco also was talking about. And if you're a finance major, you can double major in supply chain management, and that is STEM designated, so that you can actually have the 3 years of STEM OPT when you are finished with that program. Some of our data points for students that are graduating out of the Darla Moore School of Business is that 96% of our students are receiving a job offer within 3 months of graduation. They are earning almost $73,000 with a $6,000 signing bonus. So I know Marco also said that most business majors are coming out with $62,000. With the Darla Moore School of Business, they're actually $10,000 higher than that. And roughly 4% of our students are going on to graduate school. And the Darla Moore School of Business partners with over 800 employers in South Carolina. And you wouldn't expect this. There are many international companies that are coming into the area and having such as Boeing. We have relationships with Amazon, with Target, with KPMG. Our students are doing internships there. They're doing, and then being employed in these companies after they're done. Some other unique opportunities in the School of Business is that they have their own Office of Career Management with their own directors and their own advisors. So each student is paired with an advisor, and they're actually helping them write their resumes, find internships. They're also finding job placements for them. This Career Management Center also holds job fairs every fall and spring on campus and brings hundreds of employers onto campus. So students don't even have to leave. They're having their interviews right there. They're having and showing their resumes and submitting applications. So all of that is actually brought onto campus so that students have these opportunities. There's a finance scholars program. So for those students in their sophomore year, they can apply for this finance scholars program. This allows you to have additional mentorship with some business faculty, additional research opportunities. Students actually get to register for courses sooner than their classmates. They have additional internship opportunities. And obviously this also adds to your experience and your marketability when you're done and finished. We have study abroad opportunities. There's hundreds there as well. The Darla Moore School of Business also has their own office that handles all of their international opportunities. And they have their own ambassadors program. So again, when you're going through the Darla Moore School of Business, you can go and give back and help new students that are coming through. The other unique thing is that they have the most departmental scholarships out of any college at the University of South Carolina. So for those students that are excelling, you can also apply for these additional funds to assist you with your tuition payments. I'm just going to, all students want to know this most of the time. So with our housing, we do have housing on campus and all of our students are housed here. We have global residents that live in the housing. We have, it's apartment style. So you can have your own room with your own bathroom, another roommate, and then you share a kitchen facility and also the common living area. We have shuttle buses that go from there that come onto campus and 24-hour security. This is just another photo of campus. So we have a pool on there because it is sunny and very warm here during the summers and the spring. We also have, so when you're taking a look at your overall experience at university, you want to make sure that you have all of these opportunities available to you on campus. So that's one unique thing about a very large institution is that everything is right there for you. You can have all of your courses there, but you can also have fun. You can have your athletics there. We have a theater on campus. We have all types of restaurants and everything available to you. I would like to thank you for listening to this. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Thank you so much. That was very informative. Kind of makes me want to go back to college at USC or at Adelphi. Now we're going to take your questions, and so this concludes our presentation. So if you don't have a question, feel free to go about your day. But meanwhile, let me take a look at what has come in to our Q&A. So the first question is, okay, so Marco, you mentioned other majors or minors. Can it really be, what really can students take as a second major or as a minor? Can it be anything? So my answer to that is yes. Again, students usually take a minor or a double major in an area that they want to emphasize on their resume or curriculum to a potential employer. But I'm going to ask Will, at Adelphi, can students double major or minor along with finance in anything really, or do they have to be specific degrees?
You know, to answer that question, I would say that it's not quite as black and white. I think it depends. And technically, you could double major with most things, but I think something you want to really consider is how's this going to benefit me, you know, tangentially? Am I doing something that is complementary to what I'm studying? I think you gave a very good example earlier of, well, if I'm studying a degree in finance and I want to take this internationally, maybe I want to do a language as my minor or second major, because that's actually going to be really attractive to employers, you know, especially a student that might be studying Mandarin, Spanish, for example, or another like highly sought after business language. Or say, for example, if you wanted to go into another area where, oh, say if you wanted to like major, you could major in something like philosophy, for example, right? As like a double major. And to an employer, that might indicate, well, they have these financial skills, but they're also very creative thinking. And so that's something in terms of thinking outside of the box, looking for creative solutions, thinking deeply, something that employers would value as well. So And that's something that I could actually help you with if you come to study at Adelphi, identifying that path that is best for you. What are your ultimate goals and how the degrees that you're going to take will help you achieve them? Those are all things that we help you with.
Great. Thank you for that, Will. Let me see if another question has come in. Yes. So for Larissa, you mentioned that you bring employers to campus for job fairs for students. Do you support them in any other ways? So, for example, resume or interviewing skills. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, that's all handled in that special office of career management that's right inside the business school. So you don't have to go to the career center that's for the entire university. This is specific for business students. And they do interviewing techniques with students. They help build the resumes and they bring these employers on campus. They build those relationships with the employers as well so that they have that opportunity to even call them and say, I have a student for you.
That's great. That's great to hear because I know as students, they probably don't have too much experience with interview skills or sitting down face to face with a prospective employer. So I think that's great that University of South Carolina prepares students in that regard. Thank you.
And I
for
also
that.
want to say that there's mandatory internships as well. So that gives you that experience right inside in your program so that you have that for when you're ready to interview for a position.
Great to hear. I see someone raised their hand. If you wouldn't mind, could you please put your question to the Q&A function? That way we can address what that question is, since we're not taking live questions at the moment. I'll just give them a minute to do that. Oh, and another question came in for Will. Will, following up along those lines of preparing students, does Adelphi also prepare students with interviewing skills?
Yes, Adelphi does prepare students with interviewing skills. So we have a variety of ways to handle that. We have our career accelerator program, which is offered by Shorelight. And then Adelphi University also does have a career center. Just this week, they actually hosted a career fair on campus, which brought in employers directly from New York City and from all over the US. This was put on by Adelphi's Career Center. It included interview practice workshops and actual in-person interview practice with some of those people that could be your potential employers. So lots of opportunities for that.
Amazing. Thank you for that. All right. Again, if you don't have any questions, that's our presentation for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, for taking time of your busy days. But if you do have a question, we're gonna stay on for a few more seconds to give you an opportunity to put that into the Q&A function. And in case you missed it, we did put into the chat a resource where you can see how Shorelight helps students with their career objectives. Okay, there is another question that came in. Can we please explain the difference between tuition fees and student fees? That is a great question. I'm going to answer broadly, and then Larissa or Will, if you choose to, feel free to chime in for your respective institutions. But basically, tuition covers the cost. Tuition fees that are assessed to students covers the cost of being in the classroom, learning from that instructor in the classroom. Other fees that are assessed to students, such as that are categorized under student fees, could be the rec room fee, could be student government fees, could be technology fees, or if a specific major, in this case finance, requires use of certain facilities, it could be facilities fees. And so those are the extra fees that are assessed to students by institutions where students might need something extra to utilize something extra in their learning in addition to just being in the classroom in front of an instructor.
I think that pretty much captures it. Very well said.
I was going to say the same thing. Lab fees also end up
Mhm.
being on there too. Students see that. So if you're taking some science classes, there might be, or healthcare majors normally get assessed other lab fees.
Yeah. And you can typically see those fees broken down very specifically on your
Yeah.
statement of fees when you sign into, for example, eCampus is the system that Adelphi uses. Because I know this is a question that frequently comes up. What is this fee for? And so you can usually pretty clearly see what that is.
Great, thank you. I think those are all the questions we have for today. Thank you all so much, everyone, for joining us today. Again, taking time out of your busy schedules to be here and learn more about finance. And thank you, Larissa and Will, for speaking specifically about the University of South Carolina and about Adelphi University. Very enlightening.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you, everyone. I wish you all a good day.